26 trends and predictions. I thought this would be really fun to talk through. Somebody sent this to me. He goes, "Hey, look, Joanna Penn is massive." I guess I have no idea who she is. So if you've read this or this kind of thing interests you, I'm fascinated at being an indie author. I don't know if I'll ever get traditionally published. I think I'm too impatient for that. I actually really like the idea of being an indie author. And yeah, I know it comes with a whole lot more like effort and sacrifice and whatever, but it also means you can control more of what you're doing. You can do it at your own time. You can make the friends that you want to make. You could probably make more of the royalties you want to make. All of that kind of thing interests me. But I also like the idea of being able to build up my own brand, my own relationship with people, my own friendships with them. So it seems that indie authors and the number of tools that are showing up for indie authors is just absolutely exploding, which is kind of like this is a really, really exciting time to be an indie author. It also means whatever you think or believe, you don't have to sign that off to some traditional, I don't know, whatever, publisher with an agenda that doesn't like what you think and doesn't like what you want to write. And so you got to change who you are and you got to cut stuff out that you kind of think, or no, my audience actually wants it. And you see, yeah, you have to draw be honest about, do I want this? Whoops. Do I really want this in here? Does my audience actually care about it? I feel I need to be really honest and connect with my audience. You can do that as an indie author. It's probably harder. Okay, there's trades. You might get a whole ton of sales. But it also seems like there are people who are seriously paying attention to indie authors and who are picking them up and exploring and seeing what is popular, and then either trad publishing them or giving them really special deals. So it's an awesome time to be an indie author. It's also another thought, and I forgot what it was. I mean, the tools are all there to help you to do it. So let's go through this article and see what we shall see. Again, I have no idea who this is, and I don't know where this article goes, but it seems like it's a in-depth kind of fantastic thing. She writes nonfiction for authors, award-winning New York Times USA bestselling thriller author J.F. Penn. So awesome. Lots of podcast stuff. Highlights of what she's talking about. Indie authors are selling direct through Shopify, Kickstarter, and local in-person events. That's true. You know what's also really cool is there's this website called Fourthwall that's really helpful. I went to go and I'm testing it myself because I like to test everything before I recommend it. So you can build a free store on Fourthwall, which is pretty awesome. Now think about this: if you're an author, right? If you're an author and you're building like something on YouTube, so you can hook up a Fourthwall account to your YouTube channel. And I think you might even see it if you're watching this live stream below this video, you might see maybe there's some products or something. You can take your book and publish it through your Fourthwall like an ebook. You could sell a print book too if you wanted, but then you got to probably handle mailing it. So I like to think of ebooks. You could put your ebook through Fourthwall, hook it up to your YouTube channel, and you can get everything done in an hour. It's amazing, and it's totally free too, which is why I love Fourthwall. But and then you can have that book show up underneath, you can tag it on your YouTube video. And so then YouTube is your algorithm, like KDP used to be your algorithm for, not used to, still is, for helping people discover your books. But you can now, for example, use YouTube as a direct algorithm for discovering your books. So if you can figure out how to do a good YouTube channel, I'm not saying I can, but I want to figure that out too. You can just attach your book right below the video, and there's your discovery algorithm. Like that to me is fascinating. And I think 99% sure that not only does Fourthwall get they get paid when you get paid, but I think YouTube does too. They might get a little something. I don't know. So that plus if you can get monetized, those three things, it tells me YouTube is, I know that they've been wanting to improve how shopping works. Like if you add a shop to your YouTube channel, so LegendFiction has one. If you go and have a look, we got a little shop on our YouTube channel. YouTube wants to push that. I saw an early headline about that, and it may be past news already. But that tells me that, okay, social shopping like on Instagram and TikTok, if YouTube wants to roll that out too, that means they're going to be more incentivized to encourage discovery to the shop, especially if they can get a cut of it. So that fascinates me for fiction authors. If you go in on YouTube, what happens? Now you got to figure out how to talk and do all the, word good stuff. But that's what's also so interesting to me right now, kind of why I'm hanging out this live stream with you. And if it's helpful, say, type the number 1 in the comment. There is so much slop going on. It feels kind of impossible to stand out. So being really genuine and really human, that's kind of my gamble. Like if I think that if you can just literally show up and hang out with people, I think YouTube likes live streams. So I'm trying to think if I can go and test this stuff, other authors I might be able to learn stuff and be able to share it with them. So that's why I'm doing it. Um, Live streaming and being real and being authentic and just human. I think that is insanely valuable. It's what I want. It's what I'm interested in. I think a lot of us don't. We're a little bit tired of the super curated stuff. We want stuff that's real, and that's how you stand out when there's slop. It's my working theory because I mean, yeah, I could still be slop, and I could be as a human sharing stuff that isn't helpful. How many YouTube channels like that out there? Tons. So that's why I like to test everything and then hopefully try to share it, and hopefully you find it helpful. Um, so that's just it really interests me. So we're able to sell direct through Shopify, Kickstarter, and local in person. Here's the other thing about Shopify. I didn't know about this until recently, in the last 6 months or so. Shopify has a super cool app baked into it called Collective. Now, I've not messed around personally with Shopify because I don't have something able to sell and a whole system to keep selling it, because otherwise it's like, what, $45 a month? And so that's a fee that I just don't really want to make right now. But if you do figure out a distribution, like a way to keep reaching people so you can keep selling stuff, Shopify has a tool in the back end called Collective, and that allows you to take products from other stores and then show them in your store. It's a bit like, I guess, like drop shipping or something, although I'm not in love with that as an idea. But you could take like stores that you endorse and then showcase them through your store. So, for example, you might have a gift that a ton of other stores don't have. Like all they want to do is focus on their products, and you might have a channel and you might review stuff or you might talk about super fascinating, interesting stuff. And then you can have their things on your store. And then every time it sells, you get a cut and they will pre agree with you and you'll sign a little agreement. And it can be all automated very nicely. And then every time something sells, you get a cut. And then they just handle all the customer support and fulfillment and all of this stuff. That to me is absolutely so cool because it makes it so much easier for you to bring the kinds of things that your audience wants that's really helpful and interesting to them. You don't have to create everything that they need. You can get a cut, providing them the resources that's helpful to them. If you're selling your book direct through Shopify, you keep basically all of that income. That to me is absolutely fascinating. That's a future for indie authors we have never had before, which comes to the big thing I need to keep chewing around and tackling is we're now in an era, we're in an age where an indie author can be a one-person production studio, which is fascinating to me. Whether it's not just writing the book, but the tools now have become so much easier where you can create your own website and manage it yourself. You don't need somebody else. You can create gorgeous art that captures what you're doing, that shares your world on your terms with people. I think that's amazing. You can create and sell your own content without needing to go through or wait for permission from somebody else. That's pretty incredible. And it can be beautifully easy. The tech has now made it so beautifully easy. Now the thing that's kind of hard is, can you build the habits so that you can actually get stuff written and done? And then what do you need to do, or how do you need to show up by picking a lane and sticking with it? Whether it's picking one social network, one social platform, and then creating content so that you can borrow that algorithm and get into that algorithm, and then send people to something like your blog to capture emails so that you can stay in connection with them. Also, something super crazy easy like Substack is just, I absolutely love Substack. I've got like 5 blogs on it. Man, we're not even getting through this article at all. There's so much here, but hey, we're just going to hang out for a while anyway. Okay, AI powered search will start to shift, elements of book discoverability. This is going to be so interesting to get through. Agentic commerce, I don't quite know what that means. I think that means being able to tell a bot to kind of go shop for you, which is kind of interesting. There's AI assisted audiobook narration will go mainstream. I don't know what I feel about that. I kind of really love actual human voices. There are places where this is helpful, and some authors can't afford anything else. But they are also getting better. So I don't know. If it works for you, go for it. AI assisted translation will start to take off beyond the early adopters. That's already showing up on YouTube, where you can, on the fly, which is incredible, change the audio. Which, I mean, I watched a podcast recorded in Portuguese, um, like a month ago, and I had it instantly translate into English, which was, I mean, that blew my mind because now all of a sudden there's like entire aspects of human conversation that I would have never been able to learn from. And all of a sudden now I have access to them because of instant translation. I still haven't wrapped my brain around what's possible with that. Okay. AI video becomes ubiquitous. Live selling becomes the next trend in social sales. I'm very interested to see what happens with that. Um, AI video becoming ubiquitous. Yeah, that's the thing. We're gonna find ways to do it well because there's a lot of ways where it's showing up as slop. It's just like a hack and people doing, dumb stuff with it. But there's also ways where we're doing really cool creative stuff with it. So again, finding a way to make it serve you as the creator. Also, AI will create, run, and optimize ads without the need for human intervention. So that's going to be interesting. See how that goes. They are getting a lot better at that. And then 1,000 True Fans becomes more important than ever. And that, again, that's what also super fascinates me. The bar is lowered, or it's become so much easier for an indie author to be able to explore how to make things work for you. Um, my wife is fascinated by a musician, for example, like Enya. Now, I don't know personally anything about her, but she loves to say Enya is, for example, is not Taylor Swift in that she was or is super successful, but she never apparently shows up and does interviews. She never does anything she doesn't want to do. She's in her castle. I think she has cats. And she just shows up with another single or I don't know, a banger of an album, and everybody is in love with that, and it's amazing. And then she goes back to her castle and nobody hears from her again. It's so cool that you can do whatever you want. Now, in her case, yes, she's built up an audience. She can now afford to do whatever you want. So there's probably a point at which you need to play around or mess around with the game, learn the skills, or partner up with friends who can help you. I think that's also going to be a thing. But finding 1,000 true fans, man, if you got 1,000 people sending you $10 a month to encourage you to write the thing that they absolutely love, or you can serial blog that thing, like, man, what a goal. That's been a goal for a long time. That's all you basically need to survive, unless you're living in America where everything is like, it's just a luxury to sneeze. Okay, so let's keep going. This is going to be interesting. More indie authors will sell direct through Shopify, and there's more companies like BookVault. They're offering more beautiful physical books. If you've never seen BookVault, it's amazing. I have been waiting for BookVault to figure out their ebook side of things, and then I wanted to I was struggling with Ingram. I did not like Ingram, especially when things go wrong. They didn't support anything. Uh, Books not showing up, covers showing up wrong. And all I wanted to do was sell ebooks. I just wanted an easy way to distribute ebooks. And it became so painful. I wanted to dump that and just go with BookVault, but BookVault didn't have the ebook side of things. So I'm still waiting. It's been like easily a year and a half that I've been sort of watching that. They still haven't updated that. Okay, whatever. That's their thing. So I just dumped Ingram, downloaded everything, reset it all up in KDP, and that's just where that is now. Moving forward, the next thing that I wanted to do is PubShare, partly because it's what we do in Legend Fiction is we create what do you call it? Book anthologies, right? Of stories from our community members. And I'm very interested in the idea at some point in the future of maybe Legend Fiction becoming like a press or a publisher, because there are some authors in there who are absolutely stunning. So if we can figure out stuff like, distribution, automated royalties, that kind of thing, and PubShare helps with that. Plus, it not only gets it on KDP, but across a whole bunch of other places too. Seems like a really, really cool tool. So I'm interested to keep messing around with that. Anyhow, so BookVault is awesome. Let's see. This trend is not a surprise. Selling direct has been a trend for the last few years. It's going to continue to grow in a way that independent authors become even more independent. And I do think it's fascinating too, because a lot of social platforms are recognizing that these sort of mega celebrities, mega influencers have been dominating the feeds because they are just so good at what they do. They've understood the game. They have played it hard. They have earned their way to the top, or they have hacked their way to get everybody's attention. And the social platforms realize that everybody's tired of seeing the same 50 faces or 200 faces. So there's a lot more surfacing up of smaller creators. That's been a whole big deal for all of 2025. Possibly learning from what happened during the pandemic is they surfaced a ton of new people and then gave them a shot at the limelight, see if they could emerge, because it's a discovery engine. And so as the AI and the algorithms that keep getting better and more refined according to your interests. You're going to go out and keep trying to find for you the creators who are most like you or who have what you want. So it's a really fascinating time now where you may not even have to be totally that good, which is, I don't know, probably makes a ton of people mad, but it does seem to be if you're showing up and you're real, people are looking for this kind of thing because they're exhausted of not only the 24/7 news cycle, which I am, because and I just don't follow the news at all, except for maybe 5-10 minutes at night, because I don't have time to know what's going on. My priorities are, yeah, taking care of my family, my job, and then trying to write or be creative and keep my community going. Um, we're never going to get through this article. That to me is also an encouraging, sort of fascinating tidbit. Now is a phenomenal opportunity to start doing something. And if people like you, they continue following you because that's how it works. That's how it goes. Like attracts like. You probably like to follow people who look like you, think like you, talk like you. And sometimes you're putting up with someone who, you know, thinks like you, but doesn't talk like you, doesn't look like you, and you want more of that additional connection, or you just love the expertise or experience that some specific person brings. And so that's one reason to encourage people to start doing stuff and to share something, whether it's a blog or a podcast or a YouTube show or something. Invariably, there's going to be somebody out there who likes what you like and who wants to see what your way is for going through things. Okay, so the written word media survey from December 2025, 30% of authors are selling direct already. 30% say they plan to start. Among authors earning over 10,000 per month, half sell direct. I mean, that's pretty phenomenal. Um, I don't remember the name of the guy, but he wrote the book The Witches of Scotland, and he's got a very successful Kindle series, and he's talking about how he's made Kindle work for him really, really well. I think his first novel he gives away for free, but then he's written like 15 other books or something, and he also sells them as a bundle, or he takes the whole bundle and he puts that on Kindle. It's just really quite amazing what happens once you've got a trilogy or you've got a couple of books. Amazon loves to see that. Um, Man, so I'm just fascinated at the idea of like, oh, what if you were to sell your books that way through Kindle, and what if you're offering them as well for sale through, um, you know, direct as a sale under your YouTube video? That's kind of really interesting to be able to sell direct. The tools are so much better now for this. There's also tools like books.buy, which I think for about $100 a year, I think, you not only get a beautiful author website, um, but it makes it easier for you to sell your ebooks, or sell your books directly to people and keep more of your royalties. Yeah. So that's also a tool that's out there. Selling direct is an advanced author strategy, meaning you have multiple books and you understand book marketing and you have an email list already. So there are some of the things that you have to stack together. Um, I am part of my thing, and see, you know, flex my own book here because I wrote the book on it, trying to figure out my own process, right? So I wrote a book called Start Your Saga Brand, and it's the relentlessly helpful guide for total beginners and visionary founders to build a brand with no permission, no budget, and no limits in just 100 days. And the idea was, I don't like waiting for permission from anybody, and I don't have any budget to do anything. So I'm just going to go do it. What happens? I'm a creative person. Authors are creative people. Can we figure out a way that is free, that allows us to get going really quickly? What are the best tools? And so I'm an early adopter. I love to test and explore tools constantly to see what's going on, see what's possible, see what can be really helpful for people. And I like to then go and test it immediately. And if I love it enough, it becomes part of my stack. And then I just am desperate to find some way to talk about it and share it with people. So, uh, understanding book marketing and then having an email list, or some guaranteed way to reach readers. Honestly, I can't get past an email list. I think that that's still the best thing, the best way to control a one-to-one relationship with people. And you can still show up on all of the socials, but you do all of that to send people to your email list if they're not yet ready to buy, and you give them a little gift to encourage them to get on. Kindlepreneur reports 66% of authors who are selling direct have more than 5 books. 46% have more than 10 books. So, man, there's that whole thing again. How do you get to a point where you are writing more than one book? And that's something I want to learn. It's something that we're doing in our community. Now, you can start with the small table at the local event with a limited number of books for sale. But if you want to sell direct, you need to consider all business aspects. Now, it's not a silver bullet. It is much harder to work. You can just upload to Amazon, choose a Kickstarter campaign or um, well, whatever you do, whether it's a Kickstarter campaign or a Shopify thing, or if you go to a conference or a fair. The issue is, does anybody know about you? Are you partnering basically with an algorithm for people to discover you? You're partnering with KDP and Amazon to have your book be discovered. No guarantee about that ever, obviously. They probably want you to run ads, and they want more of your money so that they can then pay you money, um, and then keep half of it, whatever. So the question is, what kind of algorithm can you partner with? And because that seems to be the only way that you can actually reach people, unless you can partner with something that already has reach, or like a newspaper or a blog or a podcast or a bigger YouTube channel, and you don't have to build it yourself, but you can go kind of borrow theirs or add value to theirs so that you can then get attention from them. And unfortunately, if you are going to be indie, you do have to learn different ways to market. And that right there is, like with everything, I'm always going to recommend you got to find your own way. Because if you're trying to do somebody else's way or the wrong way, you will not continue with it because you won't love it and it won't work. Okay, it's so much harder to sell direct. So let's keep going. You need a business mindset and business practices. So you got to pay up front. That's true, unless you can figure out a free way to do stuff, which is the number one thing I like to figure out. How do you find a free way? You got to be proactive about marketing. You do have to be proactive. You got to show up and you got to do stuff. Uh, it takes a particular kind of person to do that. There are some people who have nothing to sell, but they got all the proactivity in the world. I am very interested in that idea because that means there are some people who are just born to be on stage, born to be talking or creating or reviewing. So, what if you team up with like 10 authors and you become their spokesperson? You create a channel around interviewing just those 10 people. Like that to me is really an interesting idea because it's not possible to do everything. Just think of what is it? It's called? The Greatest Show? Yeah, The Greatest Show, right? With P.T. Barnum and Hugh Jackman. He doesn't have the skills to do anything, but he's got the showmanship. Everybody else had all the super cool skills or the interesting things, so he just brought them all together and he went and sold access to them, and then made that experience exciting. So I think there's going to be a very interesting opportunity there. I mean, we see this online all the time anyway. Influencers, they're reviewing everything. That's exactly what they're doing. Same sort of thing. You need to be a lot more proactive. Now, selling direct brings advantages. It sets you apart from the bulk of digital-only authors who are still only uploading ebooks to Amazon. It seems like a lot of people, you upload direct to Amazon. If you don't have any sort of follow-up on your own website, an invite for an email list, ask for reviews, if you don't do any of that stuff on your own website, you're just simply trying to sell books and you're hoping it'll sort of be a total hands-off experience. I don't know that you'll enjoy. I mean, you might absolutely love it that way. There are some people who definitely do. I wonder if your audience is going to absolutely love it that way because we are in an era now where you can have almost a one-to-one direct relationship and conversation with your favorite authors. Now, the authors, this goes back to our earlier conversation about boundaries. Authors may not want that all the time. Okay. The beauty of selling direct is you do get your customer data. You can follow up with them direct. You can go, hey, if you love that, you're going to love this. And you don't have to wait for Amazon to sort of send that out to them. You can just send them an email. That's pretty cool. If you don't know who bought your books and don't have a guaranteed way to reach them, you will be more easily disrupted when things change. I can't get around it as well. Email continues to be king. I cannot figure out and have not found an alternative. Even with texting. I mean, I don't know if it's just me or a thing or a millennial thing. I do not like being texted. I live in Messenger. There's my email inbox that I unsubscribe from things all the time that just don't matter to me anymore. But email is still the number one way to get, my attention if it's not urgent. So I there's no way I can trust social media because I'm following so many accounts. Like that's probably you too. You're following so many accounts all the time. You can't remember who's got a new update or whatever. I think it's really hard for creators to try to stay on top of things by being on social media. So, 45% of the most successful direct selling authors had over 1,000 subscribers on their email lists, with a clear positive correlation between email list size and monthly direct sales income. Over 15,000 subscribers, they earn 20 times more than authors with email lists under 100. I mean, that just seems insanely obvious, but there it is. I'm trying to remember what the name of that book was, where the author talked about, I don't even remember, but the author talked about having an email list is like having the freedom to print money. When you need to do something, if you've built an email list of people who like you and want to hear from you, And then when you have an offer, again, assuming you're not spamming them all the time, um, when you have an offer or you need to make income, you then send them an email, and some percentage have a high likelihood of converting and buying the thing that you're selling. So it's like, ooh, I need extra money this month. Let me go do a thing, create a thing, sell access to a thing, and X percent is going to be a small number, of course, will then buy. But if you have never spent the time building that up, it can be so much harder. And so that comes back to the other question. If you want to be the indie author and you want a sense of control over your own thing, then how do you learn some basic marketing so that it stays fun? You don't die, right? Selling direct does mean faster money, sometimes the same day or the same week. And you don't have to sell all your formats directly. I am interested in this kind of thing here. You sell Kindle books or you sell ebooks on multiple platforms, and then maybe there's print on demand books, and you might have like a special cluster of books that you print through Book Vault that are personally signed that you might actually send out. That's like super valuable because you touched it, your direct hands are on it or something for your super diehard fans. Um, you might release like a first couple of books out through Kindle, right? Or what other print on demand, right? Get those books out into the system, and then have some other books that they can only buy if they go straight to you, straight to your Shopify, straight to your store. So you're kind of getting the best of both worlds. You're putting out sort of not a loss leader, but that might actually be the right word. You're putting out something into the world. Algorithms are picking it up. You could maybe run ads to it. And then if people like that, then they want the next one because you were super crafty and you ended it on a cliffhanger, which is whatever. Very cool. And then they want the next book, then they have to go direct to your website to buy that. I think that's a very interesting way to go. So, all right, more tips. The Novel Marketing Podcast. So maybe check that out. And I'll put a link to this in the description afterwards. Okay, among other things, a fixed monthly fee for a store doesn't match how most authors make money from books, which is more in spikes. This is true. This is why having something that can be completely free, where the platform makes income when you make income, I like those kinds of arrangements. Which is the major reason why I've never signed up for a lot of writing tools or a lot of writing services, because my creativity is in fits and starts, and I don't want to be paying for something or locked into something. Um, so I want it to be as free as possible, or I want control over what I'm doing. If you haven't figured out, marketing direct to your store can hurt you depending on what you are paying for. So out the gate, don't go for expensive stuff. What can you do with free? I think that's always important. But I may be wrong. You may have enough money to burn on stuff. And so good. And you may then therefore have a better chance at succeeding. So do you. Let's see. Kate Elton, new CEO of HarperCollins, says we're seeing global success with responsive, reader-driven publishing, subscription boxes. I have no idea how to get into that. That's so interesting. TikTok Shop, and crucially, developing strategies founded on a comprehensive understanding of the reader. The more you pay attention to people, you hang out with them, more people like that. And then AI enables us to dramatically change the way, come on, my cursor doesn't scroll. AI enables us to change the way we interact with and grow audiences. Opportunities are genuinely exciting, finding new ways to help readers discover books they will love, innovating in the ways we market and reach audiences, building new channels, adapting to new methods of consuming content. So we're going to keep seeing this. AI is fantastic in this sense of being able to study your profile, study your activities, learn you, and then pair you with the content or the ads or the resources or the things that have a chance at improving your life, because you might actually buy them. And obviously you probably, unless you're, compulsive buying or just, having fun buying, most of us are budget conscious, stuff like that. So finding the right thing that's going to inspire you or induce you to part with your money is the number one job of a ton of these algorithms. And so you are partnering or asking that algorithm, study my book beyond what I said, study the things that are in it that I haven't even thought of, that my readers are going to absolutely love because it's already ingested billions of profiles of people. And it's like, take my product and put it in front of the right people that I might think that this is my audience, but the AI black box might go, this product, once I've studied it and ingested it, is more likely to be sellable, or it will resonate with this group of people. And then it'll go and test that. So partnering with AI when you're trying to contact the world uh, just really was the next, it just needed to happen. It's just tech that needed to exist. Um, so there you go. It's going to shift and improve elements of book discoverability. And of course, it's going to be the same thing for absolutely every tool and app and software and whatever. So I don't really need to say too much more about that because I basically just said that. So we're going to skip sort of this part. Um, this is interesting. I'm curious to see where this goes. So Joanna Penn says, I expect some authors and publishers to be paying for AI traffic rather than blocking and protesting them. So that's kind of interesting. The same way that you were paying Facebook to run ads, it would make sense at some point once AI becomes good enough to pair your content or your books with the right kind of audience want to hear or see from you. They're going to want to gate that access because it's basically advertising, and it's an advertising that is more accurate than hit and miss advertising or social ad stuff that's been, to date. And I say that given the last 10 years of really smart ad systems that Meta has and so on, Google has. Now that they're doing AI, it's able to be even smarter because it can understand intent a lot more and it can predict things a lot more accurately. So of course it makes sense they're going to want to gate access to that because the likelihood of it being successful is now exponentially higher compared to the past. So it just makes sense that they're going to do this. So yeah, she's got some recommendations here. Check your author name when your books are surfaced when you search on chat. I think a lot of this is going to come down to is your website indexed properly. I think that's probably going to continue being like a standard thing. Um, have a good website that's indexed well. I really love tools like One Page for websites. They're taking AI quite seriously as part of their process. So neatly indexed pages that all talk to each other well, that are connected to all of your resources. It's like the hub for you online. It's got good content that describes what you do, and it can help you with that. Uh, if you do that kind of basic stuff, and you can just partner with a tool that's going to help you do that, which is why I love One Page. You know what? I need to be setting up affiliate links for all of these tools that I keep endorsing. But they're all the tools that I love. They're all the tools that I'm using. Um, some of them you pay for, most are free because I like free. If you use really good tools, it's going to make your life so much easier. I was actually so impressed by somebody who was searching, was it DeepSeek over in China? And she discovered that my name had come up and she sent me a DM like, hey, I learned about, the fact you're an author and also you like to talk about AI and stuff. Um, I thought that was genuinely cool. So somehow there's some sort of indexing that's happening, and I have never checked to see how my GEO is showing up. What is it? Generative engine optimization or something? All right, let me see if I can keep scrolling here. So that's going to keep, yeah, the boundaries of AI will become clearer, enabling publishers to harness its benefits while seeking to safeguard the intellectual property rights of authors, illustrators, and publishers. There you go. So we don't want stuff being ripped off. All right. Blah, blah, blah. Then we're going to get agentic commerce. This is not as interesting to me, but I don't know. It might be absolutely fascinating for you. AI is going to find out what you want and may buy on your behalf. I have not messed around with this. If you have, I am fascinated to know how this might serve or help you. Let me try and zoom in a little bit. I'm not able to see this too well. Zoom in. There we go. I have not figured out what it's going to be like to have an AI go and buy for me. I do love one click or one tap checkouts. I mean, that's kind of getting there too. Maybe telling Alexa, hey, go buy me the next book from something. That's kind of interesting. This is fascinating to me. Using chat to find fiction and nonfiction books because the Amazon interface is polluted by ads. That's intriguing. I've not done that. That's kind of an interesting thing. Like imagine you're chatting, like journaling with AI every day, and you're like, hey, based on what you know about me, what are a bunch of books that you think I might really like? There's a chance that might be a lot more accurate than what you think. Because when we're on social and we're liking and sharing stuff, sometimes we're mercy watching, mercy liking, virtue signaling. And so there's a persona that AI is sort of tracking around you that you may maintain as a highly cultivated one. For example, me, I'm never on Facebook. It's been a long time since I've posted anything or really engaged with anything. So that persona that AI has built up around me is probably outdated if it's still trying to sell to me. Whereas I've been chatting with chat every day. I think chat said, "Hey, I'm part of the top 1% of chat users after my 2025 user wrap up thing. My wife said she was in the top 0.1% of daily users. So ads or recommendations are going to be really accurate, which honestly, that's the best outcome. Um, to avoid wasted time, really, right? To get exactly the ad that matches or that works for you. So let's see. Walmart is partnering with OpenAI to create AI first shopping experiences. I don't even know where this is going to go. So it's just interesting. We'll have to see what happens. Amazon, she's saying, I'm calling it for 2026. Amazon will sign a commerce agreement with OpenAI sometime before the end of the year. So we'll have to see what that means. She says, someone could be having a conversation with AI about what to read next, and within that same conversation, purchase a book without ever leaving the chat interface. This is already happening within TikTok and social commerce, and it clearly works for many authors, so that's fascinating. This will likely stratify the already fragmented book ecosystem even more. Some readers will continue to live only within the Amazon ecosystem. Others will be much wider in their exploration. I am not sold on anything. I mean, I do say that I live in Kindle because I can't afford to be buying a ton of books. So I love my Kindle. But this is also how it's going to work for products. All right, we need to keep going through this. AI assisted audiobook narration. So that's going to be so interesting. AI audio narration has become so good. The tech has reached a level of emotional nuance that made it much easier to create satisfying fiction audio. I will believe that when I hear it. I have not yet heard it, mostly because I don't have time for a lot of audiobook narration. But if you're an author and you're thinking about this, I've half thought of just simply reading my books aloud and maybe putting them on like Audible. But frankly, I'm too much of not a cheapskate. I just don't need or want to make a ton of money off of my fiction, so I just want to put the audiobook up on YouTube, for example, and just sort of let that get out into the algorithm because I love looking for free audiobooks and then putting a link to buy my book in the description. That's a test I want to run and see what happens. But I plan to read that aloud. Need to figure out how exactly to make that work. Famous narrators and voice artists who have an audience may still be worth investing in because it's also part of the experience is knowing there's a real human being. And then a specific human being. Kind of like what's the author for Gollum? Not the author, the artist for Gollum. Um, I forget his name, but the artist, and he read aloud Lord of the Rings. I mean, that's an experience to want to show up for. I'm down for that. I don't think that that's ever going to go away. Um, I think that being human matters a lot more to us than we think. There's sort of the cool part of things, but then there's the uncanny valley when something is almost but not quite totally human and we don't know why. And I think that if you keep messing with that too strongly, and I think that a lot of that is happening today, if you keep messing with that too strongly and try to bridge that to effectively um, make people believe that something is real that isn't, there will come a point where we will get so ticked off by it or unnerved by it or just weirded out by it. I think it's a human default to have that and to be concerned about that. Um, I think it's going to cause a reaction. We're going to push back. And I think we're already seeing that. There's a point at which we can accept and understand how different kinds of art are created. But there will also come a point where people will be trying to bridge that uncanny valley and they might get it down to like a thin sliver, but it will still not be 100% of a thing. And when that becomes everywhere, ubiquitous, there's going to be some sort of a reaction because I believe that being a human being matters to us as human beings, especially if you're trying to live an intentional, real human life. We want to connect with and chat with and learn from and integrate with other actual real human beings. So there'll be like a phase where, oh, it's kind of fun and weird and cool. And then there comes a point where it's like, I'm tired of using this smartphone. I want a dumb phone. And a lot of people get off that and they'll go back to like taking walks and just detaching from everything and then rediscovering third spaces. I'm just kind of fascinated it all happened inside a single generation. It's like all the cyberpunk people, I'm guessing, are like really kind of bummed out because like, man, I really wanted to get to the whole Blade Runner thing. And within one generation, we're already like, you know what? Maybe we just need to detach and go to Tuscany. And then that just gets billions of views or something. I'm sure Tuscany is happy about that. So anyhow, it's just fascinating. It's within a single generation, the human thing is pushing back against uncanny valley stuff. We want to see better art. We want to see more art. We need and want to consume a lot more of it, but we're also tired of people deliberately hacking that or hijacking our attention. So, for example, with AI, if you can use it well, and if you can do cool stuff with it, do that. So, voice models are going to continue to improve. That's cool. She says, I think AI narrated audio will go mainstream with far reaching adoption across publishing. I think that'll be very interesting and helpful for a bunch of indie authors. It's another way to repurpose their content and make it accessible to more people. Not every author wants to read their own book, certainly can't afford to pay somebody. So this could be an affordable way to go. And I think we will. It's also going to be true. We're going to, um, I don't know, some of us just don't care or are going to appreciate it. So it's also possible we will become more used to what it is or how it works. The same way that we all got used to somebody having a very weird accent in the way that they tell the news, right? The way people talk about telling the news, it's very non-committal. It's very formulaic. It's very unusual. It's very like it is its own accent, its own prosody, its own way of talking that is completely unnatural. It's completely created. There got to be a point where we just completely accepted it. Um, I think that when we get more AI instant translation for YouTube videos, for example, these are tones of voices that we're going to come to accept that in this context, this is how it's going to sound. Um, for some of us, I think we may also do this with fiction and AI narrated audiobooks. So we'll see. I don't listen to enough to know. If you do, tell me what you think in the comments. I'm not exactly sure. 11 Labs. Yes, 11 Labs is also pretty amazing. So, oh, look at that. JF Penn cloned her voice, and then she used a male voice for her novels. Pretty fascinating. So she clearly labels her an AI narration. That's the thing, I think. I think it's smart when something is an AI printout, and just to be honest about that, especially if you're trying to make money off of it. If you're partnering with AI in the sense that you are the creator and AI is the tool that's helping you to create something, well, that's different. But especially if you're trying to sell audiobooks, I think this just makes sense. And there are lots of new tools. So, yeah, watch out for your rights and all of this sort of thing. All right. I think I'm getting a little tired of talking. Who'd have thunk? It's been 2 hours. So, let's keep going. Traditional books, publishers are experimenting with AI assisted audiobook narration as well. So, if this interests you, go ahead and check it out. And then we've got translation. So we started talking about this already. It's just pretty amazing. It showed up on YouTube. So I'm going to skip this because I already kind of talked about this, but there are a bunch of other tools. Globe Scribe, Scribe Shadow, Kindle Translate. I mean, that's going to be fascinating, especially if they're able to figure out the nuance of translation, because anybody who's involved in translation routinely will say like how hard some things are to translate. Um, I'm very interested to see, what way smarter people than I have to say about how this is going to work. Like if we're having a hard time with like the Bible, and we need so many versions of the Bible every month, a new one comes out, it seems. Although I wouldn't know because I don't follow that. But it seems like there are so many different versions. Um, I mean, I grew up speaking French. And so there are some words that are untranslatable. And there are some words you need to like recreate the whole sentence in a new way. It's just going to be fascinating to see how this can work. Kindle Translate's currently only available to US authors for English into Spanish. Gold standard is still human translation. Also because what can happen here is that a human can also decide an audience and a point of view and then translate for that, which is why we have so many different versions of things or why translations can be different. Because it can also be audience dependent or intention dependent. And that's kind of why like specific phrases or prayers or something can be like impossible to translate because you got to nail down like one version of what an author could meant. What happens when you deal with what I have understood? This is how Hebrew works, for example, where it has they speak in puns. What do you do with that? How do you translate that? Like it's an insane, complex brilliance of ancient language. I think like Assyrian or Babylonian, right? Or Hebrew, where they speak in puns and they might intend all of the meanings. So it's like you got to show up with a ton of understanding to be able to even read the text. So I don't know what you do about that. Let's see. Some of these AI translated books will be slop, but readers are not stupid. And I think that is going to be true too. I think we're going to see a lot of voting with our funds. We're going to vote with our feet. We're going to vote with our finances. And there's going to be, I think, a lot of books. You know what's kind of happening a lot is when you don't log into an account for a long time, they shut down the account, whether it's Gmail or Twitter or something. I'm kind of curious to see what happens. Like if there's zero sales on a book for a long or for a period of time, are they going to shut down that book? I'm interested because I went to go search for a book topic, and the number of AI slop books that showed up were really, really kind of depressing. You know, I don't know how you get around that. I'm sure way smarter people than me are looking at this problem and realizing we need to fix this, because this is harming our ability to create the confidence to sell books. You can't sell the product if you've got, you know, factories of bots trying to strip mine your catalog of sales. So I think we're going to see, in the same way that we had the early days of like people trying to create websites, people created a crap ton of crap websites to try to steal away attention. And then the Google algorithm just got smart and told everybody, okay, we're downplaying that. We can't stop that. So we're going to downplay access to that based on these parameters. This is not interesting. Humans don't want to see this. And we're going to keep surfacing up what real humans are putting up that people vote with their time and their attention as being valuable to them. I think we're going to keep seeing that everywhere. All right, let's keep going. And then we got AI video becoming ubiquitous. Live selling. I'm so interested about this. AI generated video became very high quality. This is true. If you've not seen some of the trailers that have come out, this is what fascinates me for authors. Again, the idea of an author being able to be a one-person production studio. You are your own Weta workshop. You are your own, um, what was the Lucasfilm Industrial Light and Magic? Right? The idea that you can be your own and that AI can be like your almost all-in-one kind of studio to help with that, especially if you can't hire authors or artists and so on. And then to be able to create, and generate art, and then to be able to animate that and turn that into a little trailer, to be able to market and sell your books, that fascinates me. I've been messing around with that. Um, I've been seeing people do absolutely stunning and incredible stuff with that. I'm not yet personally at a point where I'm ready to share what I've learned because I'm not yet happy with the process. There are some people out there who are able to do incredible stuff, but they must be blowing a ton of money on it. So I'm looking for affordable opportunities that will do it really well before I kind of turn that into a tutorial or if I can test it for myself. So as soon as I know, or as soon as I'm happy with something, I'll be able to share that. But this is a conversation we can have if you're interested, and we can come back to that. So there are a ton. VO3, there's new, there's so many tools, which is also kind of depressing. There's way too many to choose from, so I don't have time to test everything. So I'll pick a couple. What I definitely don't like is using AI to generate the script, generate the whole video, and then ship it to YouTube. That I don't like. I don't think I like. Um, I think that stuff like news, like in the instant news, um, AI can be very helpful. Assessing or assembling a ton of different resources and then understanding that and then assembling that, like, okay, that can be really helpful. Um, but when it comes to like teaching, the downsides with AI is that it constantly hedges what it says. Um, because it's got lots of safety parameters in place. So unless you train, for example, an AI for a specific audience, there still comes a point where every time I see like, videos that show up that are just straight up generated. It's like you just shipped straight out of the generator. Um, I can't trust it because I don't know who wrote it. I don't know what's behind it. And I mean, that's the same thing for everything that a human creates anyway. We're still kind of walking up to that and going, am I sure I trust what you have to say? Let me see if I can find two or three other people who are also saying the same sort of thing from multiple viewpoints to sort of, we're triangulating truth. um, but AI video can be sometimes just not only some of it can be like funny and hilarious, especially when it's like creative. And um, I do think there's a difference between slop. Humans can create slop, and humans can create art, or at least interesting stuff. I need a word for slop that kind of sounds like or is short as slop, but isn't. I don't know what it is yet because it's not art. Some of it can be interesting or helpful, but uh, there's some, yeah, humans can create slop, AI can create slop. Not everything that AI creates is slop. It's just not true. And there are millions and billions of views of people watching ASMR fruit getting cut, glass fruit, just because it's like, this is so cool and interesting and weird. And okay, yeah, it's probably brain rot, but that's still different. Um, we had brain rot before AI showed up. So it's like, it's a matter of like what it is and what you're doing with it and how good it is. And some of it is really bad and dumb, like, you know, whatever. You've seen it, multiple fingers. Real artists are going to use AI to do really cool stuff. People who are not artistic or who are trying to game a system are going to use AI and just not care. And I think the market will show up and just not buy from them. And so then they will just end up being self-selected out, or they will self-select themselves out. Anyhow, so um, yeah, this whole thing of short form video, this is something that interests me in the sense that I am not good at it. Now, there are some people who are really good at it, and they've got an excellent ability to be able to create it, understand it, and then to do it. And I just can't. So, uh, creating book trailers is awesome. Um, I just don't, yeah, I'm not sure that using AI to create video that way is a good idea. I do think there's a fantastic opportunity to be repurposing, for example, videos from like Artlist or Story Blocks, right? That's actual real footage. And then to have AI deeply understand what's in that footage. And then you say, I want to create a book trailer, or I want to create a movie trailer, or I want a ton of B-roll added to my interviews. And I want you to go and use these incredible libraries of videos and then add that in to help create visual interest in my thing. And then, of course, go through and double check that it actually looks good, or at least is accurate. I think that is insanely helpful. I don't like the using AI to auto generate and then ship footage for something. Like the amount of extra work you end up having to create for yourself if you're trying to be honest about and real about what you're doing. It's like the extra work just isn't worth it for me. So trying to be genuine and human, this is kind of the thing. The more we see stuff that you can't trust being shipped, I think the more we're going to turn to wanting to see real people. I think I'm probably going to wrap here. 2-hour live stream, I think, was probably good. So, despite AI tools getting so much easier to use, you still have to prompt them with exactly what you want. You do have to learn how to make a good prompt. And that is a skill to actually learn. You'll have to learn to do things like storyboarding and breaking out all the different parts of how to create like a book trailer. I've messed around with those in the past. I've made trailers in the past for different projects or clients. I'm very interested to kind of be able to come back to all of this now that we can now um, generate trailers based on the artwork that we create with our own stuff. So this may change with generative video ads, likely to become more common. We'll just have to see what this even means. I think there's going to be a small group of us creators and artists who are going to be able to use this. I think that the hype around anything ever, especially the last couple of years, is overhyped and is silly. I am still not completely convinced it's going to take away all of the jobs that we think it is. I'm not yet convinced that it's going to destroy creativity and artistry everywhere the way we're told. Um, I think it's going to continue to be very good, but it is not going to solve everything, and it's not going to be able to be used everywhere. And we're all gonna, yeah, I think the bubble's gonna burst, and we're gonna realize it was way overhyped. And there's places where it's really dumb, and there's places where it's really smart, and it's basically always going to need a human, because a human is operating at a category shift level. It's like AI is working in 2D and humans are working in 3D. And AI can mimic what working in 3D looks like, and it can get really, really smart at it, but it's still not 3D. And now, to be actually accurate, I might be able to say like AI is in 4D and then we're operating in 5D because consciousness itself is just a, I don't know what else to describe it as. It's a categorical difference. It's a whole new dimension that is layered on top that a tool or an app or an AI will never be able to approximate. Just you can't even. It's not even. Yeah, it's not about just concentrating more and more data suddenly emerges consciousness, because that's just not how it works. It doesn't even know what it's doing with data because it's not doing anything. It's just predictably stacking stuff together, and we're the ones who accept or add meaning to what it says. Anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. So we'll have to see what happens with video as it gets better. Um, Yeah, there will be a lot more generated video, but that also leads to the human trend of more live video, which is exactly kind of my point. And I think this is an opportunity for a lot of authors if you are able to show up and record and just hang out with people. Um, how that works for authors, I don't know. And I'm really interested to come and test this and sort of see what happens. Um, yeah, these are just interesting. You can use AI avatars. If I'm having a bad hair day, to be able to pull up an AI avatar in place of me, or to have it sort of instantly swap out my hair and make me look nicer, or change my lighting, there's going to be some aspects of this that are going to be just awesome, especially if I can't control the lighting behind me, or it's going to be able to isolate me better and put me in a really cool little background. Um, yeah, there are some people that you can watch, I think, who are really, really good because they've got phenomenal personalities, who do use completely generated, like not generated, but artificial sort of skins that are able to show up. Um, I don't know if you could watch them forever, though. I think there does come a point where that's kind of a weird, interesting thing to see. But then at some point, I think we want people. I think we genuinely want to see people. Not just the fact that it's an imperfect human element that make it stand out. Like, I think it's a little bit silly. People are like, oh, let's typos and let's celebrate all of the flawed writing that on Substack or whatever these blogging platforms are, because these are indications that it's made by a real person. And I'm like, no, that's you're just dropping the sense of seeking excellence. I'm not going to celebrate mediocrity just because it's human. I do want to keep finding a way to celebrate human, authentic human excellence that might be augmented or empowered by the right kinds of tools that are going to help that. Yeah, so there we go. Deep fakes are getting better. Everything that made creators matter, the ability to be real, to connect, to have a voice that couldn't be faked, is now suddenly accessible to anyone with the right tools. That is true. But the problem is, just because you've got the tools doesn't mean you have the vision or the ability to execute or to actually connect with human beings. So I don't know. We'll have to see. Have to see. And even if we, I don't, I take that back. No, we don't have to see. We will see what will happen because it's going to be like a freak show. What's the new weird thing that is possible? But hey, it's like Jurassic Park. What does Malcolm say? We thought so long about whether we could, never stopped to think about whether we should. And I think there's always going to be people who will be first at the table to be doing whatever they can to strip mine attention and and access and microtransactions, and then they're going to be pushed out because they're peeing in the pool for the rest of us. And I don't think we want that, and I don't think bigger algorithms want that. The algorithms of the actual platforms like Amazon and Meta and so on. Because if people stop showing up because it's just basically bots talking to bots, dead internet theory. I don't think you make sales on a dead internet theory. I don't think you build anything viable or helpful. I mean, if it just because it's like this, it's so dumb for me. Sometimes I'll play a computer game, Counter Strike, and I get onto a level, and I see all the bots standing in corners, not doing anything, nothing. They're not even shooting each other or playing a game. They're just standing around trying to cash in on loot, and then they vote me off instantly. And I'm like, what? This whole thing was created to serve me and my experience of being able to play a game. This is stupid. Obviously, the game developers have to take it, find a careful way to not alienate their base and whatever. But at the same time, it's like, come on, some of this is just dumb. So this whole, dead internet theory, it's just simply bots talking to bots. Like I remember they were talking about laying down the transatlantic, international cables around the world. Oh, more than transatlantic. The ones that run under the oceans and stuff to connect, these major places of the world together. And they were like, yeah, was it 50%, 60% of everything is just bots talking to bots, automated bots talking to each other, not even people. And I can understand as you have a lot more automated things happening and double checking and verifying, and all of that makes sense. But when you get chat rooms that are bots talking to bots, or when you get bot armies showing up under videos paid for by other people, and people just stop showing up because they don't trust the experience, they don't trust the environment, I don't see a system surviving. You need a radical change. You need aggressive things to sort of pull it back and try to fix it. That's my sense of what's kind of been going on with X. They're trying to identify people and kick all the bots. Some of them, most of them, a bunch of them. Same thing with Spotify. We talked about this in the last news thing that I shared, where Spotify has a real bot problem again, these factory shipped, some of it is slop and some of it is just cool stuff that is created. But the problem is that microtransactions or whatever, or payments or royalties are being sent to bots. And there's no way humans can ever outperform or compete with a robot. It's the whole John Henry versus the steam machine trying to beat through a mountain. At a point, you sort of step back and go, what do you win by smashing a hole through a mountain and trying to win against a machine that is engineered to outperform you at a task that is destructive to the human person? Go and do other things that are better for humans to do than beating holes in a mountain with a hammer. But when it comes to things like creativity, I don't like, and I'm with everybody who's mad at the slop that is strip mining access to the human family. So I like the idea, and it makes sense to me so far, of having, verified human IDs for things. Um, for like Spotify, if you want to get money, like, yeah, like in my case, I might be playing around with AI music. Um, I don't expect or want to make any money off of it, so I could opt out from doing that because I'm just doing it for maybe some fun or because it's cool. But I genuinely want real artists to get paid for it. If you're an author, like in our community, actually write your own stuff because you've then earned an opportunity to make income off of that and royalties and stuff because you actually did the work and you put it in. So anyhow, I like this here. We like to talk about AI slop, but there is a lot of amazing AI content, and we're going to start seeing more and more realistic. And again, I want to draw the caveat. Uh, amazing doesn't just mean, or amazing AI content doesn't just mean there's more and more of it that is better, that bridges the uncanny valley, and it's just more inventive. It's like, no, um, more creators are creating and using AI to help with their creativity. And that is different because there are a bunch of people who are not creative, who are maybe agenda driven, merely profit driven, and who are shipping whatever AI creates without any editing or without any tweaking or creative vision or intention. That's why, again, creators are the best people to learn to use AI because you will understand how to use a tool and not get lost in it because you have a vision, you have a goal or a purpose. So there you go. The bar is going to shift from can you create to can you make something that only you could create? I think that is absolutely fascinating. And again, this is what AI allows more people to have access to be able to do. To be able to learn at their own pace, to quickly adapt at a pace that works unique to them. Um, Again, authenticity is fast becoming a scarce resource. The creators who succeed will be those who figure out how to maintain their authenticity even when it can be simulated. This is such a cool and interesting conversation. A lot of personal content on Instagram now is unpolished. It's blurry photos and shaky videos. Like again, it's well, there you go. Look at that. Flattering imagery is cheap to produce and boring to consume. So we do want stuff that feels real, but I don't. There's a point at which there's like a pendulum swing. Everyone goes like, everything is so overproduced. Now we want, show us the zit marks and the bad hair and the bad lighting, and you're like just crashed on your bed. And it's like it's real. And it's well, there's a point at which everybody sort of tries to cash in on that, and they fabricate. They fabricate that, and then you're like, I don't know. There's a point at which I don't like mediocrity. Um, And then I don't like monoculture mediocrity and then trying to cash in on it because then it's like professional mediocrity. And at this point, it's like it's such a weird head trip. It's like, okay, let's just focus on excellence. How do you focus on excellence? And this is the other thing for a lot of us. Sometimes you don't have to be better than everybody else. You just have to outlast them because whoever's trend chasing probably won't last. But if you're a genuine human being, you're genuine. You're going to keep showing up. You'll be predictable. You'll be reliable. And with everything that keeps going crazy, I think reliability is a more valuable thing than, constant cultural relevance. Be relevant in the sense of resonant and that you know what's going on, you can speak to it and you're engaged in it, but don't lose you. Don't lose don't lose who you are. So there you go. Imperfection can become a signal. That it can be true. Rawness isn't just aesthetic preference, it's proof, it's defensive. I don't know. This could be a thing, this could be just a personality thing, and I just might not be the right person for it. And other people will absolutely love it. Um, she's interesting. She says, yeah, she challenges on it too. Oh, well. I think this is exactly what I'm trying to say. In a world of infinite abundance and infinite doubt, the creators who can maintain trust and signal authenticity by being real, transparent, and consistent will stand out. I think it's absolutely true. I think it's been 2 hours and my voice is giving out. I think I'm going to cut off early. But if you got any questions, you can drop it in. And then this one here, like this is such a dorky thing. It'll be fascinating to see how that goes. I like following meta ads and see what happens. But we're on the edge of it, and it's going to keep getting better. As she says, I would love to outsource more marketing tasks to AI. I agree, I would too, as long as there's a way where I don't feel like I'm getting swept up and lost and half forced to ship slop. Now, if I can ship excellence that I believe in, well, that's going to be amazing. So imagine being able to upload a book and specify a budget and say, go market this. And then it actions the marketing without me having to cobble together whole workflows. Like, okay, honestly, that sounds kind of amazing. And I think it is definitely going to come because there are so many people who have really beautiful and cool things to say and zero ability to spend 100 hours or 1,000 hours or 10,000 hours figuring out how to learn a whole new skill amid everything that is happening to all of us all the time. So there you go. For authors who find ad creation overwhelming or time consuming, this could be a game changer. Yeah, well, you still will need a budget. So there you go. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. And then 1,000 True Fans becomes more important than ever. A lot of authors and publishers are moaning about the difficulty of reaching readers in an era of AI slop. But there is no shortage of excellent content created by humans or humans using AI tools. And that's just again really fascinating to me. Never been a fan of rapid release. If you can't keep up with the pace of the machines, well, we can't as humans, so play a different game. As Kevin Kelly wrote in 2008, if you have 1,000 true fans, known as super fans, you can make a living. Now, if you're content to make a living, not a fortune. Again, I mean, today, can you imagine being an indie author with 1,000 true fans? So that might mean, like, I don't know, 10,000 semi fans. And then every time you send out an email with a new book, 1,000 of them drop their lives and throw $10, throw $25 at you, and they buy your book every time you publish something. If you have 1,000 of those, I genuinely think the big book, traditional publishers and outlets and movie producers, they're looking for anybody who's got that level of success going on. Because if you do, man, if there's 1,000 people who want to hear what you hear, there's probably 100,000 to maybe 1,000,000 people who might also actually really like this too. Um, so that's such an interesting indicator to me. And I think it's going to continue to be true. Um, so, and you can go ahead and sort of read through this. If you've never heard of this idea, it's a fascinating little thing. Again, it indicates you don't need if you don't want to make a fortune, if you want to make enough to live only by writing, a fantastic metric to aim for is 1,000 true fans. But that does mean you need to do enough or a lot and be regularly outputting to build up an audience that can pay attention to you at all. And so you'll need to maybe have 100,000, maybe have 10,000, maybe have 5,000. I mean, if you're incredible, you might curate an audience that is exactly 1,000 true fans that actually buys from you every time. And then she sort of runs, some numbers. If you only make a $2 profit on an ebook, you'll need to sell 500 ebooks to make 1,000, and then do it again next month. That can be really tough to do unless you're running ads, and so that means you're then how much are you making back? That's going to be a good question. If you have a small community, right, where people pay $2 or more a month, well, I think that is something I'm very interested to see what happens. More of this Patreon style stuff for authors, where they continue to get access to your books if you were to be able to have the mental freedom to be able to keep creating, like you're shipping chapters or short stories or hanging out with them or giving them early access. Some authors really thrive on that. So if you could make $20 profit per book, and this is what you do usually with high quality hardbacks or bundle deals or a whole series of ebooks, and then you'd only need to sell to 50 people. And then again, just thinking about these numbers, if you've got $100 profit per sale, my goodness, what would you need to sell? Um, I'm going to have a friend on the YouTube channel in a while, and we're going to talk about something that she's very interested to do, which is to think of using books, her ebooks, like YouTube channels. Use them as the attention generating things, and then have other things that you sell that are much more expensive, kind of like this. For example, if you had $100 profit for sale, if you had something to sell that was not your book, that was $100, you'd only need 10 people to make $1,000. So it depends on what you're selling. So it's like, maybe we need like business for authors or something that changes how authors are thinking about what their books are. Everybody was just like, all I need to do is only focus on writing books, ship it off to a publisher. They handle everything. I get my royalty checks. I keep writing books. Well, now it's different, especially if you want to be an indie author. So what do you do? What do you do differently? This is kind of what I want to figure out. This is what's so interesting to me. Um, Maybe go check her out. Give her a follow. It looks like she is figuring and solving all these things all the time. She has Patreon office hours and um, yeah, this is true. In an AI optimized world, intentional human connection will become the ultimate luxury. I believe that's true. That's kind of why I want to keep hanging out with these live streams. So, friends, if these are helpful, please hit the like button, say hi in the comments. If you've got additional questions or whatever, I would love to shout you out and bring up that question next time. Um, I think that's probably enough for the rest of that. Go ahead and grab Joanna's um, author blueprint, show you quickly what it's like. Look at that. She's got a nice little tips on writing fiction, nonfiction, self publishing. I have no idea who she is. She looks like she's doing something really cool. Go check her out. I'll put this link in the description and you can poke around. And hopefully, it was helpful and interesting. Um, I will probably be back Thursday morning for another live stream. So I hope that you're able to, yeah, let me know in the comments if there's something really helpful from this. Say hi. Let me know what's going on. And if you've never checked out Legend Fiction, have a look at the website, legendfiction.com. Otherwise, like, subscribe, keep writing. See you next time.